Good evening. I'm about to call to order Planning and Zoning Board meeting, City of Lake City. The date is 10th of September, 2024. This time we'll all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank and praise you for this day. We thank you for watching over us and keeping us safe. And Father, as we come together to take care of business of our citizens, we ask, oh God, that you give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. Mr. Angelo, roll call.
Ms. McCullum?
Here.
Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Douglas?
Here.
Mr. Woolen? Ms. Johnson?
Here.
And Mr. Leidig?
Here. All right, a quorum being present, we may continue. Unfortunately, due to some administrative issues, we did not have a set of electronic meeting minutes from our previous session sent out. I trust we'll pick those up either at our next specially called meeting or our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Probably be at the specially called.
Right. There being no old business to come before this board, we move to new business. So tonight we have before us two matters that must be considered and voted upon by our Planning and Zoning Board in a quasi-judicial manner. These two items are petition SPR 24-07, a petition for site plan review accompanied by resolution number 2024-PZ-SP07, approving an application by Momex Investments LLC submitted by its agent, Carol Chadwick, for approval of a site plan for an addition to an existing structure within corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, within Commercial General Zoning District and located upon parcel 14086.000 as regulated by Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, Section 4.12. Secondly, we have petition SPR 24-09, being a petition for site plan review accompanied by resolution number 2024-PZ-SP09, approving an application by 2814 LLC submitted by its agent, Carol Chadwick, of a site plan for a travel trailer park in a commercial intensive zoning district located upon parcel 12845.000 as regulated by Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, Section 4.13. So at this time, I'm going to shoot it over to our city attorney. He'll run through our procedures for how we conduct these quasi-judicial hearings and to inquire upon members of the Planning and Zoning Board regarding any outside communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of the procedures we follow is to ensure that an applicant provides a complete presentation of their request to the board prior to any testimony being offered by staff, so the applicant receives a full and fair hearing before the board. All testimony is under oath. Everyone testifying is subject to cross-examination, and all documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments is limited to evidence on the record. To accomplish this, we're going to hear a brief presentation or an overview of the application from the city. Then the applicant presents their case, followed by the city, and then any party interveners. After that, then we'll hear from parties in opposition, and then parties in support, followed by any representatives of groups of 6 or more. We'll then proceed to cross-examination of witnesses, and then if the chairman deems it necessary after that, he may allow participants to respond to any testimony provided by others. Then at that time, the Planning and Zoning Board would ask any questions of any of the participants or staff or the applicants, and then we'll proceed to final arguments. I'll advise the board as to applicable law. Once advised on the law and findings, the board can deliberate and make a decision on the application. Excuse me. All persons before the board have the right through the chairman to ask questions of staff or other speakers or seek clarifications of comments made by those participating in the hearings. People presenting written materials to the board must ensure that a copy of the materials is provided to the clerk for the board to be included at the records of proceedings. Florida law requires that the board's decision in a quasi-judicial action be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearing. Competent substantial evidence is that evidence that a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis on the record to support the opinion testimony from expert and non-expert witnesses. At this time, I need to inquire of each member of the board individually if they have received any ex parte communications involving any of these matters, and if so, to disclose them. Mr. Willem, for these two applications, have you had any ex parte communications? Okay. Ms. Johnson? Okay. Ms. Douglas?
No.
Okay. Ms. McCallum? No. Ms. Wilson? No. And Chair Leidig?
I'll do those necessary to prepare the agenda prior to this meeting.
All right, thank you. Board members, before you have proposed resolution number 2024 PZSP07, which states a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, approving the application of Momex Investments LLC submitted by its agent Carol Chadwick for approval of a site plan for an addition to an existing building within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, making certain findings of fact in support of the city approving the application, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and providing an effective date. At this time, if each person who is going to offer testimony or speak to this particular application could stand and raise your hand to take an oath. Mr. Angelo, Ms. Chadwick, are you going to speak?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Do you each solemnly swear to tell the
Yes.
Do you each solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you. Mr. Leidig, cheers.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Angelo, please provide us a short summary and overview introducing application SPR 24-07 as well as its proposed by name reference resolution 2024 PZSP07.
All right, so this is SPR 2407. Parcel number is 14086-000, located at 798 Southwest Main Boulevard. And they are looking to do a 775 square foot addition to the existing facility. The permitted use is not going to change from what it is now.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to add to your introduction?
No, sir.
Very nice. You may be seated. All right, this time, Ms. Carroll, you may approach. We stand ready to hear a presentation from you, acting as representative for applicant and agent for Momex Investments LLC. Please give us a overview of your case.
This will be, the proposed site plan is for a 770 square foot addition to the existing building at the address Mr. Angelo referenced. Not only are they going to put in a conference room with a small washroom, there'll be an additional office. And as part of this, they are also going to redo the outside of the existing building with board and batten to sort of dress it up, make it look a little bit nicer. And everybody's gonna be pleased with their new look once they're done. I've been in contact with Swanee River Water Management District, where you are just taking care of a few loose ends. But this site was actually permitted for 100% impervious because it has underground stormwater storage, and yet they still want me to do impervious surface calculations. I'm not sure. But once we get that done, I'll forward all the information to Mr. Angelo.
Is there anything else you'd like to add at this time as part of your opening salvo? All right, you may be seated.
Mr. Chair, just one quick question. Ms. Chadwick, are you moving your application into the record?
I did not prepare one. Yes, I am, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Angelo has one, yes.
Yes,
Please
you
move it
can.
into
Yes,
to
thank you.
minutes.
All right.
We've gotten a little more formal here, just yes.
Yeah.
All right, at this time, Mr. Angelo, will you please retake the stand and present your case and evidence on behalf of city staff and departments as it relates to the application?
Alright, so as we said, this is SPR 2407, doing an addition to the building adding 775 square feet. And city staff really didn't have any comments as far as all the city staff. Swanee River Water Management, as Ms. Chadwick did say, they had a comment on the ERP permit, but she is addressing that issue with them, and once that is done, they'll be able to permit from there. And other than that, the city and the DOT and all that didn't have any comments on it.
All right, do you have any other evidence you'd like to produce? All right, very nice. You may also be seated. All right, other than members of the public that may wish to make a public comment, do we have anyone here that wishes to stand as a party intervener to speak officially and offer case evidence and cross-examine witnesses in this matter? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Very nice. Hearing and seeing none, we can then move on to public comment. Public comment for individuals. At this time, are there any individuals not represented as groups of 6 or more that would like to speak either for or against the petition as presented by agent of applicant and by City of Lake City? Make my job easy, y'all. All right, hearing and seeing none, at this point, do we have any groups of 6 or larger that would like to make a public comment about the petition as submitted by the applicant on behalf of owner and Mr. Angelo on behalf of City of Lake City? Hearing and seeing none, at this time, I declare public comment on this petition to be closed. This time, Ms. Chadwick, acting as representative of applicant, do you have any desire to cross-examine any of the testimony given by the city on behalf of this petition?
No, I'm good, thank you.
You waive your right of cross-examination. There being no party intervener in this matter, we will move to Mr. Angelo. Is there anything you would like to cross-examine the agent of applicant on as it relates to this petition?
No, sir.
Very nice. At this time, we're going to open it up to members of the board. These are questions for either the applicant or for the city. Please work through me to have individuals called to the podium if you have specific questions or comments you would like to address to either our proponent or our, the agent of owner or Mr. Angelo. Okay, I do have one, Mr. Angelo. Can you hop up real quick?
Yes, sir.
When it was referenced that we are still looking at a little bit of documentation being received from Water Management District, does that mean that any motion and recommendation to adopt that this board puts forward needs to be contingent on receipt of all applicable documents from WMD?
No, you do have to do a conditional approval. That will be a condition of permitting. And so once they go to the permitting phase, before we can issue a permit, that will have to be satisfied. Under state statute, under development orders, city or municipality cannot hold up a project based on another entity. And so we are to move them through the steps. And then where we can't hold them up is at the permitting phase.
Okay, so we can offer a clean motion and a clean
Correct.
Adoption
Yes.
without having to go contingent. That's the only question I had. Thank you. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments for either city representative or agent of owner? All right, hearing and seeing none. At this time, applicant, do you have any final arguments you would like to make in this matter? Mr. Robert?
No, sir.
All right, no final arguments. I will throw this back over for final admonitions from our city attorney, Mr. Martin.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm passing down the dais the criteria from the Land Development Code that's to be considered when, by the board when considering a site plan review. I'll give just a second for that to make its way around. Okay. The decision of the Planning and Zoning Board should be based only on the evidence provided by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may make its recommendation to the council after taking into consideration, actually this isn't a recommendation, I'm sorry. After taking into consideration those matters listed in section 13.11.3 of the city's land development regulations. At this time, the board may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which the board wishes to make a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution number 2024 PZSP 07 following an appropriate motion and second. Should the board wish to recommend approval, again, this is not a recommendation, this is final action. Should the board wish to adopt this resolution as presented, appropriate motion would be to adopt resolution 2024 PZSP07 as read by title only.
All right, this time, any discussion amongst members of the board? It's the opportunity we have to speak amongst ourselves. Anything to the right or left of me? All right, this one looks pretty simple. All right, there's no discussion amongst members of the board as it relates to the petition and the referenced resolution. This time, do we have a motion to either approve or deny the petition and adopt the resolution as read by Mr. Martin in the record?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Ms. Wilson and seconded by Ms. Douglas. Mr. Angelo, at this time, will you call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCullum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Woolham,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidick.
Yes. Very nice. By unanimous claim, you've got it passed. Oh, no, I think you're the next one on my list. All right, do I need to throw this over to you, or are you good?
I'm ready to receive your.
At your leisure.
Members, the next matter before you is proposed resolution 2024 PZSP09, the title of which reads, "A resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, approving an application of 2814 LLC submitted by its agent, Carol Chadwick, for approval of a site plan for a travel trailer park within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, making certain findings of fact in support of the city approving said application, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and providing an effective date." Before I move on, I want to remind everyone who previously took an oath that you still are under oath in these proceedings. Mr. Angelo and Ms. Chadwick, Mr. Warren, was there anyone else that wished to testify on this particular matter that wasn't sworn in the prior administration of an oath? Okay. Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Angelo, please provide a short summary, overview, and introduction of petition SPR 24-09 and its referenced and proposed resolution number 2024 PZSP09.
All right, so this is SPR 24-09 for parcel number 12845-000 located at 123 North East Bradley Terrace. They are looking to put an RV park, which will be a combination of some cabins and RV slips to park RVs in. This is a permitted use with the approval of a special exception under 413.5.16, and a special exception was approved on July 9th of 2024.
All right, anything else you'd like to enter into the record as part of your introduction and overview?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you again in a minute. All right, at this time, we'll hear a presentation from representative of the applicant, Ms. Chadwick, as agent for 2814 LLC. Please present your case.
Let's see, we did look at this with special exception in July. And if you look at the site plan, there are a few minor changes. We were made aware that the cabins had to be 25 foot back from the property line, so we moved the cabins towards the center and put the road around the outside of the property. I've already gotten a verification of exemption from Swanee River Water Management District because we will have less impervious after construction than what is on the site at this time. I am meeting with DOT to do a pre-application meeting on Thursday. I don't anticipate that there will be any problems. We pushed the driveway as far away from East Duval Street as we could to still make the site usable.
All right, anything else you would like to present as part of your case and evidence in this matter?
No, should I enter the application into evidence, please.
Very nice. And do we have to read into the record what exhibit number that's getting? Or are we beyond that point now?
I don't think you really need to.
I think you're changing every day, just gotta check.
Just given the volume of exhibits in this particular hearing, I don't think it's necessary, so.
All right, at this time, Mr. Angelo, please retake the rostrum and please present the case and the evidence as well as the staff analysis and review as it pertains to this application.
As I previously stated, this is SPR 24-09, and as Mr. Chadwick alluded to, they did modify their site plan from what was heard at the special exception to meet the guidelines in the LER of the 25-foot off of the roadway. And then so they changed up their site plan to meet that definition, and they also moved back the driveway to get it farther away from Highway 90 to work with DOT. And she is in the process of working with DOT. Other than that, city staff had no other concerns with the project as they did in the staff review.
All right, do you have anything else you'd like to enter into evidence as part of your case on behalf of the city of Lake City?
No, sir.
Are you moving in the city staff report into evidence?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you may be seated. Other than those seeking to make public comment either for or against this petition this evening, are there any official parties intervener that would like to make their presence known such that they may be able to cross-examine witnesses, present their case, and present evidence in this matter as submitted? Hearing and seeing none, we can move forward without the need for a party intervener. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for public comment on this issue. Is there anyone here gathered in attendance representing a single individual that would like to speak either for or against this petition as it has been presented by the agent for applicant, or comments made on behalf of the case presented for City of Lake City by Mr. Angelo? If so, please raise your hand and make your presence known. Yes, please approach. And at this time, since you did not stand to be sworn in earlier, I'll need you to direct your attention to Mr. Martin to be properly sworn in.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you.
Yes, please present your name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
All right. My name is William Poplin, Poplin. You want my living address or the property address that I'm concerned with?
Legal address of record, whichever
Okay,
you choose.
529 Southwest Arbor Lane. That's Lake City, 2024.
All right.
All right. Yeah, mine is really a question. I don't really know what's going to plan for that site. I received a letter and I was not able to come to the other meeting. And I guess I'm hearing the issue, but I didn't even know how many slips were running for that site. How is it going to be laid out? My concern is that I have a business across the street, an antique shop there on the corner of Murray. And my friend has another one on the other side of that same street, which is directly across the street from the proposed RV park. I just would like to know what actually am I going to look at when I look out my window. I don't yet know exactly what it is.
IT, even though the city website doesn't have it up right now, do we have the ability to throw a site plan from Ms. Chadwick up on the big screen for the benefit of this member of the citizenry?
I don't have it.
At this point, would it be appropriate to have Ms. Chadwick hand the commenter a
Certainly.
Ms. Chadwick, if you'd like to hand that to them?
Landscaping on that side of the road, so that's what we
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the RV,
Yeah,
so 6 slips, 5 cameras. this?
Eight,
2,
eight,
5, 6, 7.
eight cabinets. That was three really nice landscape, the little split rail fence along.
And the existing office building that's there remains there.
This office building, the other outbuildings are, those will be removed.
Okay. And it's been considered that this is not an overuse of that property because it's a pretty small lot. That would be my concern.
It received a special exception at its last hearing, back in July.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. All right, is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against the petition as presented by applicant and clarified by city? All right, hearing and seeing none, at this point in time, are there any groups larger than 6 that would like to be recognized for public comment either for or against the petition as submitted by agent of applicant or further explained by representative of city? Hearing and seeing none, at this point, I consider public comment on this petition to be closed at this time. This time, Ms. Chadwick, as agent of applicant, would you like to cross-examine any of the evidence presented by Mr. Angelo on behalf of City of Lake City?
No, thank you.
We have no parties intervener. Mr. Angelo, at this time, would you like to cross-examine Ms. Chadwick for any evidence that was produced or presented on behalf of the owner?
No, sir.
Very nice. At this point in time, do any members of the Planning and Zoning Board have questions or comments for either the agent of applicant or City of Lake City as represented by Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Very nice. Would you like me to call it?
I have a question for Mr. Angelo.
Mr. Angelo, would you please take the roster?
On this city department kind of review where everybody, some of them say they have no comments. One of them, the gas department, says they have questions regarding the request and that's all they say.
The request for that, he wanted to know if they were gonna require gas and then for the facility. And that was his only question. I did reach out to Mr. Brown and ask him that, and that was his main concern and what the utility plan would look like. And but we'll receive more of that during the permitting phase.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we dismiss you, are there any other questions or comments for Mr. Angelo before I dismiss him? Very nice, you may be seated. Does anyone have anything for agent of the public? All right, Ms. Chadwick, do you have any final arguments you'd like to make in this case, or any summaries or summations? Very nice. Mr. Angelo, same question?
No, sir.
All right, over to you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the Planning and Zoning Board should be based only on the evidence presented by sworn witnesses. In addition, this board may approve this application after taking into consideration those matters listed in section 13.11.3 of the city's land development regulations. Those are the criteria I passed around earlier. At this time, the board may discuss the application and testimony, any findings of fact upon which the board wishes to make a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution number 2024-PZ-SP09 following an appropriate motion and second. Should you wish to approve the application, an appropriate motion would be to adopt the said resolution as read by title only.
All right, at this time, do we have any discussion amongst members of the board?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You've been recognized.
I just need more of a visual of what it's gonna look like, especially in that particular area, so if you could kind of go through that real quick, that would be nice.
She doesn't have the email with the packet.
Oh, you didn't get your packets yet.
No, but I am looking at her email.
Okay, so in the future, you're gonna have all of the material generated by the proponent, and by city representatives.
Okay.
Because you just got your pad yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you get into the city email system, and you can either go into the city email system, or also when it's up and running, you can go through the city website and go to the agendas and minutes section. And sometimes it's actually easier to pull it up in a web-based format than an email format. But if you do want to look over Ms. Brenda's shoulder, you'll have an idea of the overall plan for the site, which is what we are looking at, reviewing, and potentially either approving or denying the petition, and then concurrent with that is the recommendation for the resolution that you just read into the record.
Very good. Thank you.
But you'll have not only all of the paper documentation from city departments, but you'll have digital versions of the large architectural drawings and blueprints. So did you have a chance to look at those?
He was not able to pull up the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I can maybe help you out with one of the members with, as far as location wise. I think I can make it make sense, being that we're familiar with the same community.
Okay.
Do you mind?
Stand and come to the rostrum
I've been on.
very briefly.
Yeah. So, Ms. Johnson, this property is property that I own that's right next to Mike Cayley's Body Shop, right before you get to Save a Lot on the left-hand side. I had an existing office there. I currently lease it out to a construction company. And I've owned it for about 20 years. And so it's right there on the left-hand side of East 90,
Got it.
right before you get to Save a Lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Save a Lot is one of the important spots.
Does that give you sort of an idea where we're talking, what it's gonna look like?
Yes.
Do you have any other concerns you'd like addressed? Because this is the time when we can do that. We can discuss amongst each other in the public forum.
Got it. Thanks.
You're good? Excellent. It'll go a lot smoother next time, I promise.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion or comments amongst members of the board prior to a call for a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. That's called it first. I wasn't looking over there. Okay, Ms. Wilson called it first, and we've got Ms. McCellum on the second. At this time, Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Woolen, Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Mr. Lydic.
Yes. A unanimous vote. Congratulations, you have an approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You as well. All right, at this time, there being no additional new business to come before this board, we're going to transition into the workshop element of planning and zoning for this evening. We have one presentation in workshop, this being a presenter, Ms. Shannon Williams, presenting for public awareness for the City of Lake City's Florida Recreational Development Assistance Program grant application for proposed improvements to Young's Park to include a skate park. And we have her on the line. Can we check your audio levels real quick?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine. Can you hear us?
Yes, you sound good.
All right, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, my name is Shannon Williams. I am a consultant grant writer with the city with Gateway Grant Writing and Administration Services. We are seeking to apply for the FERDAP grant this year. Hopefully, I'm not sure if Dakota is in the audience, and Angel Dakota
Yes.
Braun, which is the city's grant specialist. Okay, so we're here to present to you all the FERDAP grant. Are the slides up, or do you?
We do not have slides up yet.
But you have them in your packet? Oh,
There we
wait.
go. They are now on the screen.
Okay, so I can't see them, so hold on. Which one are you looking at? Is it for the skate park or for the ADA?
This is for the skate park, and the image we see is a conceptual site plan of the amendments of skate.
Okay, so if we can go to the second page, it's just a little overview about what FERDAP is, in case anyone's never heard of it. It's the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program. It opens every year. It's funded through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. If you can see here on the map, DEP has us split up into little zones, and I'm not sure what study they did to decide which zone needs what when it comes to recreation. But if you can see there at the bottom, they have some recommendations of what we should be applying for in zone 3, which is football, picnicking, nature studies, soccer, baseball, softball, horseback riding. You can see all of those there. The city has been approached by several citizens about including a skate park at Young's Park. So we're coming to the Planning and Zoning Board to present this idea. It's not cemented in stone. We're open to other ideas, and we're open to any experiences you all have had dealing with recreation, any advice you might have on things that you may have seen while in your service in the planning and zoning that you can advise us on before we venture into this skate park arena. The FERDAP grant allows you to have 2 applications open at the same time. One application can be for up to $200,000, and one application can be up to $50,000. We know that the $200,000 won't be enough to complete the skate park, so the city is prepared to match funds in that case. We can move to the next slide. You will see some kids playing around. So again, we've been approached by a lot of citizens who felt like we needed to have a skate park. So that's why we started with the recommendation of a skate park. But if you have heard about anything else that needs to be done, or you think that's a better activity to have at Young's Park, I want to take some notes on that so that I can also include that into the grant application. It's one of the criteria for us to present to the public. I'll be doing public meetings next week for the general citizens to comment before the next city meeting. And so I will have comments from everyone, hopefully. So as you can see, there's just some information about skateboarding and rollerblading being great forms of exercise. We've heard people talk about our kids not having anything to do outside or not being encouraged to go outside and play. And we're hoping that this would be one of those activities that will draw kids out who are interested in just skating and skateboarding. And the next slide should be here for me to listen to anything you all may have, any input on this grant opportunity so that I can take it back and add it to the application.
All right, does anyone from the board have anything for the presenter? All right, Ms. Douglas?
So would the skate park be replacing any of the existing amenities in that park?
No, that's not the plan. Actually, the city is trying to get someone to master plan for the park that would include where they practice and play football for the city leagues. This skate park should be going somewhere around and surrounding the handball courts there. Is it handball? And so it's going to be on that side of the park in a field area open over there on that side, an open area.
All right, so this development would be north of Northwest DeSoto Street as shown on the screen?
Yes, it would be just, north. Sorry that this picture didn't help, but it would be just north of where those racquetball courts are, those handball courts. Right. And the city is, definitely looking to fence it and have it locked and just opened at certain times and just have a schedule for it so that it can be closed for instance on Sunday when they're having church. You don't want to have the kids just out right there making that kind of noise. So we are considering a schedule that would be appropriate for the area.
All right, any other questions for the presenter?
I think that I do. What about safety measures? Because when I looked at it,
You'll need to speak into your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay.
Not that close.
Is that better?
It's good. I hear you.
Okay, what type of safety measures would you all have in place? Because when I looked at the park, I cringed just a tad bit only because you see so much concrete and we know how kids can be with the scrapes and the bruises, not to be pessimistic at all. But
No, no, that's a valid point. Absolutely. We had that discussion. I met with the key officials, was it last week?
Mhm.
And we talked about implementing what responsibilities the city is willing to take on. Will we create a park that's more of a beginner park, not something that someone can kind of go and break their arm at?
Right.
And then also having posted signs that say, helmets required, safety equipment required in order to utilize the park, things of that nature. So we are still developing that, but that is a key concern about what type of skate park want to invest in, because we don't want the children to go out, of course, and injure themselves trying to, enjoy the recreation. Yeah.
Because that also ties back into what type of insurance that you might need to have to kind of cover the kids that are out there. So I think you mentioned liability.
Thank you.
So that's just something to kind of consider as well.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, do we have any comments to the left?
Is there an age restriction?
No, we haven't considered that. Probably there should be, maybe 6 and up, because there are very tiny kids who like to skateboard, but we definitely don't want the toddlers out, getting run over by some of the ones who are a little bit more expert than, the babies. So we're trying to, that's why we're trying to look at doing a master plan for the park, because we want it to be cohesive. We are trying to, of course, on the next presentation, you'll incorporate some all-inclusive or ADA compliant playground pieces, along with traditional playground pieces. Then you have basketball, tennis. We're trying to figure out a way for the mothers to not have to run to 10 different zones to watch all their kids. So that's why we're kind of focusing on this end area for the skate park. And then this is also the area where a lot of the playground equipment is.
All right, anything else? All right, I only have 2 comments. Just to confirm, you said this would be for skateboards as well as for roller skates. This is a dual recreational amenity.
Yes.
Very nice. And then obviously, only a $200,000 grant will only go so far. At some point in the future, are there any plans to light this venue for evening use?
That's a great question as well. I was tasked with finding funding for lighting, and I do have an idea of where to retrieve that funding. I would talk to Duke Energy has a great grant that they offer, and I want to get in touch with them about maybe finding some type of a solar lighting situation that we can have some really nice updated bright lights and offer it maybe in the evening and for use as well. Maybe an age restriction on that too, but.
Okay, the only recommendation I can make in that regard, remember, just to the south of that park on the south side of Madison, you do have residences. So while bright light is nice, don't make it so bright that you're killing the residents.
Yes, yes. Our initial plan was to actually put this skate park where the old girls club equipment used to be, but there are homes right there. So we moved it to the other side. So we are trying to figure out the best place for it to be where we're not interrupting everybody's at evening or just activities at home.
All right. Well, since this is not only a forum for comment for the Planning and Zoning Board, but is also being couched as public comment, is there anyone here in attendance that would like to come to the podium and ask a question of the presenter? All right, hearing and seeing none, is there anyone representing City of Lake City sitting in the back row over there that would like to come and express anything she may have missed?
I think she did, right on the head.
All right, sounds like you got a 2 thumbs up from the back there. At this time, with no further comment, do you have any closing statements you'd like to make to your presentation before we gavel out of planning and zoning?
Well, we have a second presentation, the one for the ADA equipment. It's the same. It won't take us but a few minutes. It's the same criteria as far as who it is and where it's from. We've gone through all of that. This one is for the smaller $50,000 grant opportunity where we want to start purchasing all-inclusive playground pieces for Young's Park. We do have a few parks in the area that have equipment, but we really don't have any here. So we're looking at getting individual pieces instead of that huge jungle play gym thing for pandemic issues and everything. We want them to have just separate play pieces. So, a swing here and the little roundabout thing, just little separate pieces for them to start playing on that will adapt to wheelchair use and other uses for children who may have things like cerebral palsy and they can't really sit up in a regular swing and they need an adaptive swing. So that's our plan for the $50,000 grant opportunity. And of course, like I said, the city is prepared to also add some funds to that if needed so that we can maybe, our goal is to get maybe 4 or 5 pieces to get started right there in the corner where you see the trees making the angle is where we're hoping to propose to put the all-inclusive park, because we're going to have to pour sidewalk to each piece for the ADA compliance.
All right, any questions or comments from members of the board on this one? Go ahead, Ms. Mary.
Will Young's Park be the only park that you'll be putting the ADA, equipment in?
No, as long as I'm here, no, because it's a special thing to me. I have a niece with cerebral palsy, and she's nonverbal and she can't walk, but she loves to swing. So we took her to Alligator Park, and the swing was broken because the bigger kids were using the swing. So I'm really trying to find a way to get some really durable equipment at all of our city parks, so that when the parents are taking all of their kids out, and you may have one with special needs, that they will also have something to enjoy at our parks.
Great, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments from members of the board?
It's been long needed.
All right, I've got one. In addition to adding the accessible pieces of equipment and redesigning the traffic flow pattern to allow for sidewalks and wheeled and/or motorized equipment to access this, are there any plans to remove anything that is currently at Young's Park?
We do have plans to update the equipment. We had a conversation about how old that equipment is, and we need to start phasing it out and implementing some new pieces for the children, because I think most of that equipment may be 20 years old or more. And, we've invested a lot, as you can see, in the basketball and the tennis, and some of the other areas. And we do want to now look at the pavilions and the play equipment for all of the children, actually. Yes.
Okay, and am I correct in understanding, based on the image that's on the screen right now, the cover image from your second presentation, the skate park would exist just at the very, very far left-hand side of frame, kind of behind that swing set?
Yes, it would be across the street, and it would probably wrap around where those concrete handball stations, building is right there. So it will be across the street. It won't be a part of this main park. It will be across the street.
All righty. At this time, since this is a public comment venue, now that the board has had the opportunity to comment, is there anyone gathered here in the audience that would like to approach the rostrum and ask a question or make a comment? All right, hearing and seeing none. Thank you for giving us this presentation, and
Thank you.
And we wish you all the luck. This is a really good thing you guys are doing. And honestly, this is the first time we've been read in and briefed on something like this happening. So as you keep moving forward, please keep this board informed of what's going on. We do provide you a good venue for public comment and for vetting ideas.
Awesome. I will do that. Thank you so much.
All right, have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, having passed through our regular order of business and conducted all applicable workshops, at this time, do we have a motion to adjourn planning and zoning?
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. McCollum and Is that Ms. Johnson sneaking in on the second? All right. You gotta go fast around here. All right, show of hands. Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right. Planning and zoning is concluded. At this time, I call to order Board of Adjustment, City of Lake City, 10th of September. Some of you in the back still have business in front of either Historic Preservation or Board of Adjustment. You're welcome to stay. 10th of September 2024, our roll call shall remain the same. We do have meeting minutes which were electronically distributed regarding our 9th of July 2024 meeting. I trust everyone except our newest member has had the opportunity to review those electronic submissions. This time, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes as electronically submitted by Mr. Angelo? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt.
Second. Ms. McCellum and Mr. Woolham by hand sign. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, we have minutes approved. Moving to our next script. Tonight we have before us one matter that must be considered and voted upon by the Board of Adjustment within a quasi-judicial manner. That item is petition SE 24-06, being a petition for special exception by City of Lake City for Darby Pavilion in the Commercial Central Business District located upon parcels 12022 through 12024 with the addition of 12066, 12067, and 12619. As regulated by Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, Section 4.14. At this point, I'm going to yield to City Attorney to run through the procedures to be used in quasi-judicial affairs and to inquire upon members of the board whether outside communications have been held. Mr. Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Leidick. For the record, also parcel 12025 is also included in the application.
Very nice, thank you.
And secondly, I'm going to distribute out the dais the criteria to be considered from the Land Development Code when you're considering a special exception. I'll give a second for those to get down the dais. So this is the same procedure we had earlier. It's an opportunity for the applicant to present their application, for the city staff to present its staff report, for people who are opposed or against to have an opportunity to speak to the matter and state why they're opposed. I said opposed or against, opposed or in support, and to come and express why they are opposed or in support of the matter. Parties can be cross-examined. The board can ask questions following the cross-examination, and then the participants can make any closing comments. I'll advise on the applicable law, and the board can then discuss the matter and vote on the application. All communications need to go through the chairman. People can ask questions through the chair for clarification of comments made by other speakers. Just like in the prior hearing, your decision needs to be based on quasi-judicial actions, needs to be supported by competent, substantial evidence. That is evidence that a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. It can only be based on the evidence in the record. As before, I need to ask, has anyone had any ex parte communications up here with, in this case, the pertinent members of the city, because the city is the applicant. That's a bit odd in this case, but the city is the landowner, it is the applicant. Has anyone had any ex parte communications with anyone in the city regarding this particular application? Mr. Woolham? No, sir. Okay, and Ms. Johnson, and Ms. Douglas, Ms. McCallum, Ms. Wilson, and Chair Leidick.
Only those necessary to prepare the agenda for tonight's proceedings.
All right. Board members, you have before you proposed resolution number 2024-BA-SE-06 pursuant to application SE 2406. And the title of the resolution reads as follows. resolution of the Board of Adjustment of the City of Lake City, Florida, granting with appropriate conditions and safeguards a special exception as authorized by the City of Lake City Land Development Code, or Land Development Regulations, providing for a special exception to the permitted uses within a commercial central business district or CBD zoning district as provided with section 4.14.5 of the Land Development Regulations to permit a package store for sale of alcoholic beverages, a bar, tavern, or cocktail lounge on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing for revocation of the special exception, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and providing an effective date. At this time, if each person who's going to offer testimony or speak to this application could stand and raise your right hand to take an oath. Mr. Angelo, I think I saw Ms. Phillips in the back. Are you going to speak to this at all, or do you want to be prepared to at least? Do you each swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this hearing?
I do.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Angelo.
All right, so this is SC 24-06. It's for the City of Lake City property, which is the Darby Pavilion. It's a special exception to allow the, be able to do special events that would serve beer, wine, or alcoholic beverages to the public. Currently, the way the zoning is in the central business district, you would need a special exception, just like any bar, tavern, anything else going in would need this special exception. So does the City of Lake City, being as a city property.
Anything else you'd like to add into your summary before we move to the applicant?
Not this time.
All right, so as far as the applicant goes, are you going to speak on behalf of the applicant, or am I calling Mr. Angelo to come speak on behalf of the applicant? I can keep him up here all night, it's fine with me.
I was just gonna mirror what he said, it's to allow the applicant to host events that would allow them to have alcoholic beverages at the facility.
I'll go into a little more detail in your testimony about the limitations that'll be placed on how that occurs.
Like the hours,
Look,
anything.
Maybe we'll get to that when we have questions from the board for everyone. But do you have anything else you'd like to enter into your testimony as part of your case evidence?
No.
All right, you may be seated. Mr. Angelo, do you want to come back up as the city representative to speak about the city staff analysis of the application as well as any case evidence that the city would like to present supplementary to the applicant in this matter?
All right, so as I stated, this is to be able to do special events. And as it sits right now, without the special exception, the city would not be able to host events like the Beer and Wine Festival, the Barbecue Showdown, different events that would potentially have the applicants serving alcohol on the property. And so like I said, just about any other beer or tavern, anything that would go in would have to have that exception. So does the City of Lake City. As far as like the hour restrictions or anything like that, that would be, I guess up to the city manager or how each event is, kind of tailored and for each application. A lot of these applications do have to go through the state of Florida also if there's any road closures. And so that's part of our application process whenever they apply to use the property. If there's any road closures, those also have to go through the state of Florida. And just like any other business, the City of Lake City would need a special exception to be able to do this and for those applications.
Mr. Chair, if I may to clarify, this board can also place any standing or permanent conditions on the exception as well. So you can conditionally approve the application also if you choose to.
There's some horse trading that can be done.
There is some latitude, yes.
Latitude, I like that. All right, do you have anything else on behalf of city or city staff or city departments?
No, sir.
All right, very nice, you may be seated. All right, at this time, are there any individuals separate from those wishing to make public comment that would like to make their presence known as being an official party intervener to these proceedings, to present their own evidence and to cross-examine witnesses from the city and from the city? All right, seeing none at this time, we have no parties intervener. This should go fairly quickly. All right, this time I'm gonna open the floor to the public comment portion of this petition. This time, by show of hands, are there any individuals present here that would like to speak either for or against the petition as presented by the city and the city? Please raise your hand at this time. Hearing and seeing none, at this time, do we have any public comments of groups of 6 or more that would like to address the issues as it relates to this petition presented by the city and the city? Hearing and seeing none, at this point in time, public comment on this petition is now to be considered closed. At this time, does the applicant portion of the city wish to cross-examine the city portion of the city? Come on. All right, Mr. Angelo, same question?
No, sir.
Very nice. Cross-examination is now concluded. All right, this may be the proper venue for some of the questions I was asking earlier. Questions from members of the Planning and Zoning Board for city departments as well as for the applicant party of the city. Do we have any? Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Douglas, you're recognized first.
I'm not sure who needs to answer the question, but just if we can't do the beer and wine festival without the special exception, how has that been going on up to now? Do we have another special exception for that, or?
Who of the city or the city is most qualified to answer that question?
How about the city?
That's right, we have the city and the city and the city.
The proper procedure just hasn't been followed in the past.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Don't worry, we'll take care of that tonight.
That's some honesty right there. That's some honesty to hear a lawyer say that.
Yeah.
All right, any additional questions from members of the board for any of the individuals that have spoken this evening? Brown, on my left. Okay, I have a couple. One of them ties in with what Brenda had said. Now, for other festivals that do not necessarily use the Darby Pavilion itself and those specific parcels, for example, those events that may use side streets or may use Lake DeSoto Circle itself with, beer tents. Is this gonna cover that, or is that a whole separate ball of wax we're looking at? Who's most apt to answer that?
That would be a separate ball of wax. This is very specific to these parcels owned by the city.
So this will not affect our ability to still have tents out on Lake DeSoto Drive?
Whatever alcohol is served outside of this area where the special exception applies would have to find another provision within the city code that allows them to serve alcohol in those areas. Another practical workaround would just be to incorporate Darby Pavilion and these parcels into those events and serve.
Tents off of Lake DeSoto Circle, putting them onto these named parcels.
Correct, for the service of alcohol and non-alcohol related parts of those events could then be on Lake DeSoto.
Okay. And then the only other question I had, obviously the language is very specific in the LDRs, but I did hear the term package store referenced. I assume this is only for on-site consumption.
It is, that literally is the way the exception reads. And then there are definitions for those particular types of venues within the definitions portion of the LDRs too. So they are actually defined in the LDR. It's not what you conjure in your mind, and each individual has their own meaning for it. They are actually defined in the LDRs.
Correct. But this particular special exception we're looking at is exclusively for on-site consumption?
Yes, but that also will be dictated and restricted by the license granted by the state as well. So, if it's served here and if there is an extension of this elsewhere that also would allow for the consumption or sale of alcohol, then presumably, assuming the state license allowed it, you could move between the two venues. But as to this, this would allow the sale and consumption of these parcels. It's hard to speak to what can happen on other parcels, not knowing what the conditions are on those other parcels. But as to these parcels, the exception would apply to them. It would allow now the city to apply to the state or a particular vendor to apply to the state for an alcoholic beverage and tobacco license to sell and serve alcohol on these parcels.
How would the, ID be done for age?
I assume that would be based on the individual tents that are vending that apply to be part of whatever special events, festivals, et cetera. That'd be the responsibility of the individual vendor, not necessarily of the event planner. Is that correct? All right. The police officer in the back's nodding, so I think that was right.
Yeah, but it's not city property though.
But the individual vendors would have to be permitted to be part of whatever festival or special event, and as part of their contract, the role and responsibility for maintaining that level of security would fall upon the vendor.
So the city wouldn't be liable if something happened, right?
The city would not be responsible for checking IDs.
No, I'm talking about if something happened and then they want to fall back and sue the city over it.
The city is not serving.
The city is not serving. I can't speak to liability because that's very fact specific, but the city would not be, as I understand the way most of these works, it's not actually the city that applies for the alcoholic beverage license. It's an individual vendor that may be working as part of the city event.
So the city, the vendor would carry their own insurance, right?
They would, and the city would also be insured. I mean, I don't want to say that, what the city's liability may or may not be, because again, it would be very fact specific.
So you said the board could theoretically put conditions on the special exception. Could we then put a condition that stated that the alcohol is only to be consumed within those parcels?
Alcohol may only be consumed where it may legally be consumed. So if these properties are adjacent to a property where it can't legally be consumed, then it just can't be consumed there. It can only be consumed where it can be consumed, which is on these parcels.
I don't think our laws currently allow for travelers, if that's what you're getting at.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's being as it says a package store, with a package store, you can take that alcohol and leave. But
Unopened.
Well,
that's true.
That is the exception being applied for. I don't think it's the city's intent to be selling for packages. If you wanted to limit it to on-premises consumption only, and take out of it the option to have a package store, I think you could do it. If we're gonna go that route, I wanna look at the definitions really quickly though and make sure that that doing that doesn't cause us to shoot the applicant in the foot, so to speak.
Now, for example, and I think what he's getting at, the notion of package sales, I think that would be the rubric under which it would fall. Let's say we're having a holiday beer and wine festival, and there are, a sampler pack of, interesting beers from an interesting brewery, way out of state, and it's a Christmas selection. Having the ability to have that package license allows you to sell those collector's packs for Christmas presents to give away. Otherwise, you cannot walk off site with either the open or the closed package. So we may want to retain open the ability to still have package sales.
I guess, I think what I was really getting at is people are not gonna be wandering the streets downtown drinking.
That's what I'm thinking about, kids.
Not unless the city changes its laws and allows travelers.
Yeah, this would not change the overall city laws regarding open consumption generally on the streets.
No, but when they do the beer and wine thing, they're all walking up and down. It's not, they're not traveling or getting out of hand. They keep it all pretty much here, essentially.
And it's behind the roadblocks they
Yes,
establish
that's right.
with the entry and the exit points. So it is a confined area that is settled just to that event permit.
We probably don't want to put too many restrictions on this because it'll wind up, as he said, shooting himself in the foot over it.
So, I mean, if you take the the fact that the city happens to be the property owner and applicant out of this equation, and if you thought of this in terms of a private property owner making the same application, you probably wouldn't be asking these same questions.
Right.
And I think if you analyze it that way, that probably simplifies some of the concerns.
Any additional questions? Left. All right, at this point, we'll move on to final arguments. Any final arguments from this third of the city? Any final arguments from this third of the city? All right, our attorneys had the chance to weigh in on that. So now, we're gonna yield the floor to him again for final announcements and letter of the law as it pertains to our vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the board should be based only on evidence provided by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may make its recommendation, that language is still in there. In addition, the board may make its decision after taking into consideration those matters listed in section 11.3.1, subparagraph 3 of the city's land development regulations. At this time, the board may discuss the application, the testimony, any findings of fact upon which it may wishes to base a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution 2024 BASE 06 following an appropriate motion and second. An appropriate motion would be to approve the resolution as read by title only.
All right, discussion amongst members of the board. How does everyone feel about this? Questions, thoughts, comments? You don't want to go on record, say anything before we call for a motion? All right, at this time, do we have a motion to either approve or deny the petition and also to adopt the similar referenced resolution by name?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mr. Long,
Second.
and second by Ms. Johnson. Whoa, wait a minute. Mr. Angelo, as a representative of the city, can he call the yeas and the nays, or shall I call the yeas and the nays? All right, Mr. Angelo, call the yeas and the nays.
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Woolham,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Mr. Lydic.
Yes. All right, congratulations, City of Lake City. You have your special exception. All right, seeing no additional new business before our board and no workshop items to discuss, Mr. Angelo, Mr. Martin, is there anything you would like to add onto our workshop items for our upcoming either special meeting or regularly scheduled meeting?
I don't think so.
All right, nothing from the law, how about from the department?
I would just like to poll the board and see if everybody is available, say the last Tuesday of the month or one of those Tuesdays, or is there a better day of the week? That would be good for a special called workshop.
Approximately how long do we think it will take?
Mr. Martin, how long do you think it would take to do a workshop for like quasi judicial?
It's probably going to be question driven, so I would say probably somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. It'll probably take me about 20 or 30 minutes to kind of run through what I've got to run through as far as presentation, and then anything beyond that would probably be question driven by the board. So I'd say on the outside an hour, but probably not that much.
Okay, and I have maybe about a 5-minute presentation or so that I want to do on the city website.
Okay, and the last Tuesday of the month, that would be the 24th, is that correct?
I think so.
Does anyone know if they have a concrete scheduling conflict with Tuesday the 24th for a specially called workshop meeting with the Planning and Zoning Board?
And Mr. Chair, not a conflict, but also to add to that, we probably need to do just a real brief review of sunshine law as well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, seeing and hearing no major conflict, let's go ahead and get that sent out via city email channels. Let's pencil this in for the 24th of September, final Tuesday of the month.
Same time.
What time are we talking about doing that?
Same time, 5:30.
Normal time.
right, no additional workshop items being on our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn Board of Adjustment for the evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. McCellum?
Second.
Ms. Douglas, by hand sign? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed? All right. Board of Adjustment is now out of session. Call to order Historic Preservation Agency, City of Lake City, this 10th of September 2024. Our roll call shall remain the same. Similar to our planning and zoning meeting, we did not have the ability to get electronic meeting minutes sent out digitally. Therefore, we will hold those over for our next regularly scheduled or specially called meeting. At this time, we have one item of old business. COA 24-16, submitted by, Mr. Martin, do you have a script for this one, or you want me to just read off the cuff?
Just read off the cuff. Usually you do these in a little more casual.
Very nice, thank you. COA 24-16, submitted by Eric Medeiros as owner, requesting a certificate of appropriateness in a commercial general CG zoning district as established in section 4.12 of Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, located within the Lake Isabella National Historic District as established in section 10.11.2 of the same Land Development Regulations on property described as City of Lake City Parcel 12748, located at 182 South Marion. Do we have to speak? You want to go ahead and step up, Mr. Angelo?
I have one question before I step to the podium. Do we need to untable this as this was heard at a previous meeting?
Yes, we probably shall. Do we have a motion on table?
That's on table. Motion.
Woolham and Douglas. All in favor by hand vote? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, we're driving the train. Mr. Angelo, brief introduction and summary, if you would.
All right, today this is for COA 24-16 for 182 South Marion. This was a petition that was heard last month, but the applicant was not here, so we're rehearing it this month to be able to go ahead and get an approval. As you will see in the picture of the site that where I posted the sign that was in the packet is already done, and that they're still needing to do the painting of the building. But that is what this petition is for.
All right, very nice. Do you have anything else you'd like to enter in for your overview?
No, sir.
All right, grab a seat. All right, do we have a representative of applicant or a owner or an agent that would like to come and speak on behalf of this petition? Come on down. Please direct your attention to Mr. Martin while he oaths you.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo, please.
Eric Medeiros, Medeiros, and 182 South Marion.
All right, please present your case and your evidence in this matter.
Yeah, so it's simple. Just want to repaint the gables and the fascia of the roof. Change it from the red to, I forgot what color you did.
Black.
Black, yes. So that's pretty much it. And the sign in the front to match.
Anything else you'd like to add into the record?
That's it.
All right, grab a seat.
All right.
Mr. Angelo, you're up. City staff case evidence as well as city staff analysis.
All right, so not really a whole lot more to add, just that, the picture in there, as you've seen in the sign, that is already up. They're gonna paint the poles to match the building and then paint the trim, the black color, which would be a little more consistent than what the red is for the district.
All right, anything else you'd like to enter into case evidence on behalf of the city?
No, sir.
Very nice. Take a seat. All right, do we have any official parties intervener that would like to weigh in on this matter and cross-examine witnesses? Thank goodness. All right, public comment. Do we have any members of the public, either individually or in groups of 6 or more, that would like to come to the podium and speak either for or against petition COA 24-16 as presented by proponent? Hearing and seeing none, at this time I declare public comment phase of this petition to be closed. On behalf of the applicant or the city, does anyone choose to cross-examine their alternate party?
No, sir.
Very nice. Questions from planning and zoning board for city and proponent? You got anything? Go ahead.
So, how is it that the sign is already installed before approval by the board?
We were informed that.
You'll have to come to the podium and get sworn in. Please direct your attention to Mr. Martin.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Name, spelling, and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo, please.
Christy, Christy Wells, Wells, and my legal address is 138 Southwest Briarwood Glen, Lake City, Florida, 32024.
All right. Please present your testimony.
We were informed that because the existing structure was already there, that it was okay for us to put our sign up within the existing structure that was already in place.
The 4x4s were already in the ground. Before I dismiss her, anything else for?
Do we now have the paint samples that were missing from the application?
Mr. Angelo, did we get a either a verbal description, a number, or a swatch to complete the application?
We did not, but the color is gonna be a black color, and pretty traditional.
We gotta hold all citizens to the same standards, so we may end up doing this COA issued contingent upon receipt of swatch. Just so everyone's on the same page, you know, you gotta staple one of those onto the application or it's not a complete application. Everyone gets dealt with the same even hand of the law in this room. So make sure you get them a copy of your swatch, even if it's just.
Absolutely, we'll make sure that that's done promptly.
We all know what black looks like, but the application has to be complete.
So they told me it's a Sherwin-Williams black. Did you have, remember last time I did this a couple years ago? There was a swatch that you had.
I probably gonna have to talk closer to the microphone or our friends at home won't be able to hear you.
Yeah, the two people, yeah, they're watching me. So yeah, there was a swatch last time with I think someone brought it up with the historic color. It was so Sherwin-Williams.
I do not have that with me, but I can email that to you. I know it's the traditional colors that Sherwin-Williams has that.
Yeah, I was
It's
just saying that
historic.
would have the number.
Yeah, I can email it to you if that's the color you choose, then I can put that with the packet at that
Okay.
point. If not, if you have if you go with the Sherwin-Williams to get the paint chip or whatever.
Yeah.
And that'll have the number on it, and then you can just send that to me.
I'll email it.
Okay, sounds good.
And just one more question, I'm sorry. So there's that stark white fence that is so close to your building. So are there gonna be some kind of precautions taken so it's not, covered in black paint spatter or whatever?
Yeah, we took precautions last time we painted the building where we paint blankets over it, and I asked the neighbors to move their vehicles while we were doing that. There's only one car there, so we did this side. Yeah, we took precautions.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any additional questions from members of the board for either the city or representatives of the applicant? All right, you may be seated. Anyone wish to make final arguments? You guys good? Mr. Angelo, you good?
Good.
All right, we can skip that section of it. All right, Mr. Martin, you're up.
I guess I'm questioning what it is I'm up for.
Don't you have to give an admonishment, or you want me to just run through this?
You can just run through it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, discussion amongst members of the board. Let's give anyone heartburn.
No, can I just make a suggestion? they've already put in an app, they've already done everything. Can we just go ahead and, I don't know if it's possible, just to go ahead and approve it with the condition of them putting the.
Yeah, it'll be,
Okay.
the COA would be issued contingent upon the
Okay,
city's
so they don't have to
receipt
come
of that
back and
one
get
loan.
it.
No, they're not gonna have to come
Okay.
back. No, we're not that mean.
Okay.
Trying to make it easier.
This ain't Savannah and this ain't Charleston, this is Lake City, Florida. Any further discussion amongst members of the board? All right, seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion to either approve or deny COA 24-16 as presented by owner and agent of owner?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Willem and that was Ms. Wilson on the second. Mr. Angelo, call the yeas and the nays, please.
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Willem,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yes. All right, congratulations. Go forth and do great things. That being our last item of old business, we'll now move to new business. Petition COA 24-21 submitted by Paul Spicer, acting as agent for Sophia Parker, requesting a certificate of appropriateness in a commercial central business district as established in section 4.14 of Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, located within the Lake City Historic Commercial District as established in section 10.11.2 of the same land development regulations on property described as City of Lake City parcel 11975 and located colloquially at 428 Northwest Columbia Avenue. Mr. Angelo, will you please introduce this petition?
Yes, this is for COA 24-21, located at 428 Northwest Columbia Ave. And they are looking to replace the existing doors on the facility. I think one door is gonna move and then the rest of them are gonna be replaced with a 6-panel door.
All right, anything else for introductions?
That's it.
All right, very nice. You may be seated. This time, do we have anyone here on behalf of Sophia Parker? Do we have Mr. Paul Spicer here? Do we have any applicant present to speak on behalf of petition COA 24-21? All right, without there being an applicant present, I know how the board typically feels about this. Do we want to move forward and debate the petition in absentia of an applicant? Or is there a motion to postpone this until such time as the applicant can make their presence known and speak on behalf of their application?
Agreed.
All right, motion to postpone coming from Ms. Douglas, seconded by Mr. Woolham. Oh, Johnson got in on that one first? Okay, so Johnson on the second. Mr. Angelo, please call the yeas and the nays on tabling and postponing this until such time as the applicant can make their presence in these chambers.
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Woolham,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yes. All right. Petition COA 24-21 stands tabled until such time as it can be heard at a future meeting. Mr. Angelo, will you get on the phone with the applicant sometime this week and see if we can maybe squeeze them in for the special meeting?
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll hold them for the next regularly called one. All right, she's been sitting so patient there in the second row this whole time. This time, petition COA 24-22 submitted by Ms. Janet Moses as agent for Restored Holdings LLC, requesting a certificate of appropriateness in a commercial central business district as established in section 4.14 of Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, located within the Lake City Historic Commercial District, as established in section 10.11.2 of the same Land Development Regulations, on property described as City of Lake City parcel 12684, located colloquially at 169 Northwest Columbia Avenue. Mr. Angelo, will you please introduce this petition?
Yes. So this is for COA 24-22, located at 169 Northwest Columbia Ave. The applicant is looking to, if you look at their scope of work, They are looking to replace the existing doors. A couple doors will move and they'll replace a few. And they're also replacing the windows. We did conditionally approve the windows, and you will see that in a later application where we did a consent agenda approval on that. But they are also looking to replace the awnings, the pergola, and the down spouts for the gutters.
Very nice. Anything you'd like to add at this time under project overview?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. All right, at this time, Ms. Moses, would you like to take the podium?
Thank you.
Please direct your attention to Mr. Martin.
Do you swear to tell, if you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Janet Moses, Moses, Janet. 174 North Marion Avenue, Lake City, Florida.
All right, floor is yours.
I don't have too much to say about it. We want to keep it as original as we can, as possible, as far as we're not painting it, we're cleaning it. The doors will remain the same color, the white color that was on it in the past. The awnings, this will be a time thing because it's not gonna all happen at once. The awnings will be like was on it in the 1930s. The striped awnings, like we're hoping to use black and white is what I submitted. The gutters, I said gutters but it's the downspouts. They were stolen, they were copper ones, and all of them were stolen except a couple of them that were on the back part of the property. So I'm sure we can't go back with copper ones, but we can go back with something that looks like that. I did in my package have samples of some that look historic. So that's where we're at. I would love to have the copper ones back again, but they're gone. We want to put maybe in the future a fence around it. The fence would be only to maintain, we have a really big problem downtown with pets and dogs on green space, and we have some green space that some of the buildings do not have green space. So that was the main thing with the little fence. And like I said, that would be, in probably a year's time. It would be something like John's, the black wrought iron fence.
All right.
Questions?
We're not at questions yet. Any additional evidence you want to add into the file?
We got a long road to hoe.
I looked at that building numerous times. I know the road you were hoeing when you bought it. That was something.
We do have, as of today, 3 new windows in. So,
Nice.
and they look really good if you get a chance to look at them. The doors on it, we're hoping to maintain the old doors. One has been secured. We do have new locks on it because it never had locks on it. It actually was open to the whole environment.
Yeah, but if you went in it, you fell in that huge hole.
Well, when we got it, it was the floor, there was already a plywood down.
Oh, okay.
So we're not gonna fall in a hole,
All right.
but it did have holes.
Mr. Angelo, anything to add on behalf of city to supplement her testimony?
No, sir.
All right. Which means we won't have any cross-examination. I see no one else seated here that's going to be an official party intervener unless a hand gets raised. Very nice. All right, since we have you up here, let's go ahead and move directly to questions from the board. Starting on my right, anything coming this way?
No questions, but congratulations and thank you for cleaning up.
Thank
I know it's a project, but it's gonna look really good, like I said, thank you. Appreciate
Well,
that.
I own the Blue Goose Studio, which is kind of connected, and that was the overall point of getting that building. And we want to honor it being the old library building, and we want to honor it being the Bell South building. So we will dedicate that to that.
That's great, thank you.
I
Love the bricks on that place, it's beautiful.
It's pretty.
We have been doing this for quite a while. I think just shortly before the Blanche project initiated and during the process of Mr. Robbins doing the Marion Street restaurant there at the Hamilton intersection. I think this is maybe only the fourth time we've seen actual historic photos of the facade of a structure that's come before this board, entered into the evidentiary file as we want to do this to this building because we have historic photos that show it was like this. That is something to be commended. That is awesome seeing the old black and white photographs saying, I want to do this because this is how it was, even though it's not there anymore. Totally awesome on that.
Thank you.
Maintaining the original paint schemes can always be a difficult thing on these old birds. The fact you're willing to undertake that, and even down to the level of trying to match as closely as possible the configuration of the sash and the hang and the number of lights for each of the individual windows, trying to maintain that degree of uniformity with what the historic record indicates. That is truly to be commended. That is something, for the new members of the board here, this is not something you're gonna see very often, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we have petitions that come where there is no historic evidence of what it looked like. We have to, base some of our decisions on, conceptual ideas. But this is something that, savor the flavor. This does not come around very often. And I wish more petitioners did as good a job as you did putting together a highly concise and very complete application package.
Thank you. I had a good leader.
Any other questions from members of the board? All right, this time, either y'all want to make a final argument?
No, sir.
All right, well, then you may be seated. All right, at this time, needing no admonition from our city attorney, discussion amongst members of the board. Do you have anything? I think I said what I needed to say, savor the flavor. This don't come around very often.
We're making history.
Absolutely.
Only the third building to ever actually have historic photos come with it to us.
It's gonna be an amazing tourist attraction.
It's gonna be back as a useful revenue generating property.
Absolutely.
This time we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition COA 24-22 as presented by proponent.
Second.
Johnson with Douglas on the second. Mr. Angelo, please call the yeas and the nays.
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Woolen,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Ms. Ryder.
Yes. Congratulations, Ms. Moses, go out and do great things. All right, at this time, Mr. Angelo, will you please present the two items that were previously approved by the department under the consent agenda for ratification by the board?
All right, so the first one is COA 24-19. It is for 120 North West Hillsborough Street. And they they wanted to replace the existing roof with a TPO roof. This roof is on a two-story building and is behind the wall, so it's a roof that will not be seen by the public, especially from the street level. And even the buildings around it, I don't think you'd be able to see the roof of it.
I only have one question on this one. Didn't we approve them to do a roof like 3 years ago?
I believe so.
Did something happen to their previous roof?
I don't know, it needed to be replaced, it looked pretty bad.
They probably didn't do a TPO.
Oh dear, okay, well. That's a lot of money, all right, any questions on COA 24-19 that was provisionally approved pending our ratification? All right, please proceed to COA 24-20.
All right, so this one is COA 24-20. It's for 169 Northwest Columbia. They are replacing the existing windows with new vinyl windows, as stated before in the other application. they are replacing the windows. Yes, they're going from wood to vinyl, and which you won't be able to see that from the street or that. But they're keeping the same light. So if it's 9 light, it's still staying a 9 light, and then she's staying very true to what the condition of the building was. And that was one we were looking at. As long as we stayed that way, we felt comfortable going ahead and approving this as a consent agenda.
This is just for windows, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were able to work with them on maintaining the same light configuration. I know we've had to make some trade-offs and do some horse trading on other COAs where we didn't know what the originals looked like and they were replacing the second or the third string of windows. But this is awesome what we're able to do here.
Well, and with the contractors doing it and Ms. Moses, and if they pretty much already had that done, we just made sure that was when we reviewed the packet. I know we wanted to make sure it stayed that way, but their packet pretty much already had that, so it made it easy on our part.
Cool. Anything else from Mr. Angelo in reference to provisionally approved COA 24-20? All right, hearing and seeing none, thank you, Mr. Angelo. At this time, do we have a motion to approve all items provisionally approved on the consent agenda by the Department of Growth Management?
Motion to approve.
Ms. McCollum on the motion,
Second.
and Ms. Douglas on the second. Show of hands. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, consent agenda is ratified. Seeing no workshop items at this time, do we have a motion to adjourn the Historic Preservation Agency?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Ms. McCollum and Mr. Woolham down at the end, by hand sign. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, let's go home.